Beethoven. Yeah. You heard your own breathing? Yes? Little pink sounds from the metal chairs.
A door slamming somewhere else in the hall.
A door slamming somewhere.
Water in a pipe.
Water in a pipe. So we're up to 11.
I heard a truck or a car outside sometime. Vehicle.
Car outside?
Well, isn't organizing like the entire continuum of experience into discrete things like, oh well, that's probably the air conditioning. That's the one I'm going. That sound I'm going to label as, like just really imposing our own,
Yes, but we'll get to that. That's what the term reality tunnel means. What? Gum chewing. Okay. Gum chewing, we're up to 13.
A lot of internal sounds like swallowing.
Swallowing, the ringing in your ears, shuffling of papers.
There's a metal scraping coming from your ear. And then there's
Metal scraping.
Popping or rattling noise.
Popping and rattling. 20.
There's a lot of people movement wrestling and moving a cloth against
People's clothing moving as they shift around. 20. Shoes on the floor. Scratching. Well, okay, we got up to 23. We could carry this on a little further. People would remember more sounds. Anyway, the grand total is 45, which shows that the most perceptive person in the class, observation Champagne, screened out half the possible signals at least, which is another meaning of reality tunnel. Most of the time we're screening out most of what can be perceived. Anybody who doubts that merely has to light one marijuana cigarette and notice how many new signals start coming in all of a sudden you've never observed before. Or go live in a foreign country. You very soon find out that tourists are a curse sent by God to punish us for our sins, as I said earlier. You find out you're offending people, you're doing dumb things, you're making an idiot out of yourself because you don't know the local rules. You've got to start perceiving very, very carefully to find out what the local rules are. I read a book recently called Evolutionary Competence, in which the author pointed out an American businessman who'd been living in Japan for, I forget how many years now, but for a long time, over a decade, suddenly had a major business deal collapse on him because he offended somebody. And he thought, Jesus Christ, I thought that only happened to people their first year here. This guy had been there over 10 years, but he still hadn't learned all the rules of Japanese society. We're all, if you go to a foreign country, you are once again in exactly the position when you were born. You're making a fool out of yourself all the time, and people are either going to correct you angrily like your parents did, or they're going to go behind the wall and laugh at you and, God, what an idiot. Did you see what that schmuck did? How could anybody be that uncouth? Where did these barbarians come from anyway? This was said about the Irish in the 19th century. We've heard it about other minorities more recently. All of these things apply to the average infant. What it means is they have different standards of what's clean and different standards of how much noise is acceptable and so on. Irish pubs are remarkably quiet compared to American saloons. Americans seem to think they're not having a good time until they're making a lot of noise. The Irish think you're having a good time when you're sitting quietly having a pint with a few friends and talking about, wasn't it a good sermon the father gave at Mass the other day? Yes, what he said about the British, sure, that was the bloody truth. The Lord himself couldn't come. That's a good time with 14 pints. The time goes remarkably easy. Americans have to be noisy.